The night Lina Choi spoke to the ghost in Korean, she signed her brother's death warrant without knowing it. Everyone in Koreatown knew the rules. You don't look at Ghost Park, you don't serve Ghost Park, and you definitely don't speak to him in the language that died with his family. But desperation makes people reckless. And Lina needed that tip money more than she feared the whispers. What she didn't know was that the lonely Mafia boss hadn't heard his mother tongue in 2 years, not since the car crash that stole everything he loved. Now Viktor Ivanov's men are circling like sharks. Her mute 7-year-old brother has a target on his back, and the most dangerous man in the city just became their only hope for survival. The waitress who showed kindness to a monster is about to learn that sometimes salvation comes with a price tag written in blood. Subscribe and comment if you've ever made a choice that changed everything, because this story is about to get darker than a moonless night in hell. The bell above the diner door chimed for the 100th time that night. Lina Choi looked up from wiping down table 6, her shoulders aching from the double shift. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m., 13 minutes until closing. "More coffee?" she called to the man in booth 3. He grunted and pushed his cup forward. His eyes were bloodshot. The smell of alcohol drifted from his direction. Lina grabbed the pot from the warmer and walked over. Her younger brother Daniel sat in the corner booth, homework spread across the table. His dark head bent over a math worksheet. "You working late again, sweetheart?" the drunk man said as she poured. "Just finishing up." Lina kept her voice light. "Pretty girl like you shouldn't be working so hard." His hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Lina's pulse spiked. The coffee pot trembled in her other hand. "Sir, I need to get back to work. Come on, sit with me for a minute." His grip tightened. Lina felt fear crawl up her throat. "Please let go." "Don't be like that." Daniel looked up from his homework. His eyes went wide. Lina forced a smile. "Really? I have other customers." The man's fingers dug into her skin. "They can wait." "Is there a problem here?" The voice came from behind them. Deep, quiet, dangerous. The drunk man's head swiveled toward the voice. His face went pale. His hand dropped from Lina's wrist immediately. "No problem," he muttered. Lina turned to see who had spoken. A man sat alone in the back booth. Dark hair, expensive suit. He watched the drunk man with black eyes that promised violence. The drunk man threw a 20 on the table and stumbled toward the door. He paused at the entrance and glanced back at Lina. Then his gaze shifted to the man in the back booth. He left without another word. Lina's hand shook as she set down the coffee pot. Her wrist throbbed where the man had grabbed her. "Thank you," she said to her unexpected helper. The man in the suit didn't respond. He studied her with those dark eyes. Something shifted in his expression, something she couldn't name. "Are you okay?" she asked. He turned away and stared out the window. Lina felt dismissed. She gathered Daniel's homework and whispered, "Time to go." Daniel packed his backpack silently. He never spoke anymore. Not since their parents died 2 years ago. Lina checked the register and turned off the lights. The man in the suit was gone when she looked back. The booth sat empty. She locked the diner door behind them and took Daniel's hand. The street stretched dark ahead of them. Their apartment was 6 blocks away. "Come on," she whispered. They walked quickly down the sidewalk. Lina felt eyes on her back. She glanced over her shoulder but saw nothing. The feeling didn't go away. Their building came into view. 3 stories of chipped brick and broken windows. Home. Lina fumbled with her keys at the front door. Her hand still shook from the encounter at the diner. "Almost there," she told Daniel. The door clicked open. They climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor. Lena's stomach dropped when she saw the paper taped to their door. Another eviction notice. She ripped it down before Daniel could see it. The rent was 3 weeks overdue. Again. "Go brush your teeth," she told him. Daniel disappeared into the bathroom. Lina sank onto their second-hand couch and buried her face in her hands. The tips from tonight would barely cover groceries. She needed this job. She needed every shift they would give her. The drunk man's grip had left red marks on her wrist. Lina touched them gently and winced. Daniel emerged from the bathroom in his pajamas. He climbed onto the couch beside her and curled against her side. His small body was warm and trusting. "We're okay," she whispered into his hair. But they weren't okay. They were drowning. Lina woke to her alarm at 6 a.m. She made Daniel breakfast and walked him to school. Then she returned to the diner for the morning shift. The lunch rush kept her busy until 3 p.m. She picked up Daniel and brought him back to the diner for her evening shift. He did homework in the corner booth while she served tables. The man in the expensive suit didn't return. By Thursday, Lina had almost forgotten about him. Almost. She was refilling salt shakers when the door chimed. A man walked in and chose a table near the window. Dark hair, black eyes, the same expensive suit. It was him. Lina's pulse quickened. None of the other waitresses approached his table. They whispered among themselves and shot glances in his direction. "Table 4 needs service," Marge called from behind the counter. "I'll get it," Lina said. "No." Marge's voice was sharp. "Leave him alone." "Why?" "Just trust me." But Lina needed the tip. She grabbed a coffee pot and walked over to his table. "Good evening," she said in Korean. The man's head snapped up. His eyes locked on hers. For a moment, he looked stunned. "Coffee?" she continued in Korean. He nodded slowly. She poured the coffee with steady hands. Her Korean was rusty but clear. "Thank you," he said in the same language. His voice was different when he spoke Korean. Softer, more human. "You're welcome." She started to turn away, but his voice stopped her. "What's your name?" "Lina." "Lina." He repeated it carefully. "I'm Jihoon." "Nice to meet you." She walked back to the counter. Marge grabbed her arm. "What did you just do?" "I served a customer." "That's not just any customer." Marge's voice was low and urgent. "That's Ghost Park." The name meant nothing to Lina. "So?" "So people don't talk to him. People don't even look at him." "Why not?" Marge glanced around nervously. "Because he's dangerous." Lina looked back at Jihoon's table. He sat quietly, drinking his coffee. He didn't look dangerous. He looked lonely. "I'm not scared of him." "You should be." When Lina's shift ended, she found an envelope on Jihoon's table. Inside was $200, more than she made in tips all week. She grabbed the money and hurried outside. Jihoon stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets. "You left too much," she said. "No, I didn't." "I can't accept this." "You can." "Why?" Something shifted in his expression. "Because you spoke to me." "That's not worth $200. "It is to me." Lina stared at him. He was tall and broad-shouldered. His face was sharp angles and hard lines, but his eyes held something fragile. "I don't understand," she said. "You don't need to." He started to walk away. "Wait," Lina called. He turned back. "What did Marge mean about you being dangerous?" Jihoon's expression went cold. "She meant you should stay away from me." "Should I?" "Yes." But he didn't move. He stood there watching her with those dark eyes. "Then why are you here?" Lina asked. "I don't know." The honesty in his voice surprised her. This wasn't what dangerous looked like. This was what lost looked like. "I have to go," she said. "My brother is waiting." Jihoon's gaze shifted to the diner window. Daniel sat in the corner booth watching them. How old is he? 7. Where are your parents? The question hit like a punch. They're dead. Jihoon's face changed. Pain flickered across his features. I'm sorry, he said. Thank you. They stood in silence. The street was quiet except for distant traffic. I should go, Lina said again. This time Jihoon nodded, but he didn't leave. He watched her walk back into the diner to collect Daniel. When they emerged 5 minutes later, Jihoon was gone. Lina felt strangely disappointed. The next evening, Jihoon returned. He sat at the same table and ordered coffee in English. None of the other staff would serve him. Lina walked over with the pot. Coffee? She asked in English this time. He nodded but didn't speak. She poured the coffee and set down cream and sugar. Anything else? No. His voice was different in English, colder, more distant. Okay. She started to leave, but his voice stopped her. Why aren't you afraid? Lina turned back. Should I be? Everyone else is. I'm not everyone else. Jihoon studied her face. No, you're not. A customer at table 6 waved her over. Lina nodded to Jihoon and walked away. When she returned an hour later, his table was empty. Another envelope sat where his coffee cup had been. This time, there was $300 inside. Lina grabbed the money and ran outside. The street was empty. Jihoon was nowhere to be seen. She stood on the sidewalk holding the cash. $300 would cover groceries for a month. But taking it felt wrong. She barely knew this man. Miss? Lina spun around. A young man in a dark suit approached her. Mr. Park asked me to give you this. He handed her a business card. The card was blank, except for a phone number. If you need anything, the man said. Then he walked away. Lina stared at the card. The paper was expensive, heavy. She slipped it into her pocket and went back inside. That night, Lina couldn't sleep. She lay on the couch listening to Daniel breathe in the bedroom. The business card sat on the coffee table. Why had Jihoon given her his number? What did he want from her? Marge's words echoed in her mind. He's dangerous. But dangerous people didn't look lost. Dangerous people didn't sit alone drinking coffee in diners. Dangerous people didn't tip waitresses $300 for being kind. Lina felt confused and curious. The next morning brought bad news. The diner manager pulled her aside during the breakfast rush. Lina, I need to talk to you. Her stomach sank. What's wrong? Some customers have complained about you talking to that man. What man? You know which one. Lina felt anger flash through her. I was doing my job. I know, but he makes people nervous. He's just a customer. He's not just anything. The manager's voice was firm. If he comes back, don't serve him. Let someone else handle it. And if no one else will, then he doesn't get served. Lina stared at him. That's not right. That's how it is. She walked back to her tables, feeling frustrated. Jihoon hadn't done anything wrong. He sat quietly. He paid his bills. He didn't bother anyone. But apparently, his presence was enough to frighten people. That evening, Daniel went missing. Lina was in the bathroom when the lights went out. The building's power had been spotty all week. She used her phone flashlight to navigate back to their apartment. The door was open. Daniel was gone. Daniel! She screamed. Her voice echoed through the dark hallway. No response. Lina ran down the stairs, checking every landing. Daniel, where are you? She found him on the first floor by the stairwell. He stood frozen against the wall, eyes wide with fear. Baby, what happened? She knelt beside him. Daniel pointed to his hoodie pocket. Lina reached inside and pulled out a folded piece of paper. The message was written in block letters. Stay away from him. Lina felt fear ice through her veins. Someone had been in their building. Someone had touched her brother. Who gave you this? She whispered. Daniel shook his head. He pressed closer against her side. Sirens wailed in the distance. Lina gathered Daniel in her arms and carried him upstairs. She locked their door and checked every window. Someone was watching them. Someone knew about her connection to Jihoon. She looked at the business card on the coffee table. Her hand shook as she picked it up. Maybe Marge was right. Maybe Jihoon was dangerous. But if he was dangerous, then the people threatening her brother were worse. Lina dialed the number with trembling fingers. Hello? The voice was unfamiliar. I need to speak to Jihoon, she said. Who is this? Lina Choi. There was a pause. Hold on. 30 seconds later, Jihoon's voice came through the phone. What's wrong? Someone left a note for my brother. They told me to stay away from you. The silence stretched for several heartbeats. Where are you? At home. Stay inside. Lock your doors. I'm coming. Wait. The line went dead. Lina stared at her phone. What had she just done? She looked at Daniel, curled on the couch. He watched her with frightened eyes. It's going to be okay, she whispered, but she wasn't sure she believed it. 20 minutes later, someone knocked on their door. Lina's heart hammered as she approached. Who is it? Yuri. Mr. Park sent me. Lina opened the door to find the young man who had given her the business card. Behind him stood 2 other men in dark suits. Mr. Park is waiting downstairs, Yuri said. I don't think... Miss Choi. Yuri's voice was respectful but firm. Someone tried to break into your building 30 minutes ago. We stopped them. Lina felt the blood drain from her face. What? Mr. Park wants to make sure you're safe. She looked back at Daniel. He had moved to the doorway and was watching the strangers with wide eyes. We'll escort you down, Yuri said. Lina grabbed her jacket in Daniel's hand. They followed Yuri down the stairs. Jihoon waited by the building entrance. When he saw them, his expression darkened. Show me the note, he said. Lina handed him the piece of paper. Jihoon read it, and his jaw tightened. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. This is my fault, he said quietly. What do you mean? Jihoon looked at Daniel, who had moved closer to Lina's side. The little boy studied Jihoon with curious eyes. I brought this to your door, Jihoon said. I'm sorry. Who would want to hurt us? People who want to hurt me. Lina felt reality shift around her. You really are dangerous. Yes. His honesty was brutal, but Lina appreciated it. What do they want? To use you against me. Why would they think you care about us? Jihoon's gaze met hers. Because I do. The admission hung between them. Lina felt her breath catch. You barely know us. I know enough. Daniel tugged on Lina's jacket. She looked down at him. He pointed at Jihoon and then at himself. He wants to know if you're safe, Lina told Jihoon. Jihoon knelt down to Daniel's level. I won't let anyone hurt you, he said in Korean. Daniel's eyes widened. He understood. Or your sister, Jihoon added. Something shifted in Daniel's expression. He stepped closer to Jihoon. Lina watched her brother extend his small hand toward this dangerous stranger. Jihoon took it gently. We should go, Yuri said quietly. It's not safe here. Go where? Lina asked. Jihoon stood up. Somewhere they can't reach you. For how long? Until I take care of this. Lina felt fear and anger war in her chest. She didn't want to run. She didn't want to hide. She wanted her normal life back. but Daniel's safety mattered more than her pride. "Okay," she said, "but just for tonight." Jihoon's eyes found hers. Just for tonight. But they both knew it wouldn't be that simple. As they walked toward the black car waiting at the curb, Lina felt her old life slipping away. She was stepping into something dark and unknown. Daniel squeezed her hand. She squeezed back. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The safe house was a modest apartment in a neighborhood Lina didn't recognize. Clean furniture, no personal touches, 2 bedrooms and a living room that felt more like a waiting area than a home. "You'll be safe here," Yuri said as he checked the locks. Lina set down the overnight bag she'd packed. Daniel explored the space silently, touching the walls and furniture with careful fingers. "How long?" she asked Jihoon. "A few days, maybe a week. I have to work. I'll handle that." "You can't just handle my life." Jihoon's expression didn't change. "I can handle this." The certainty in his voice frustrated her. Lina felt control slipping away from her with each passing hour. "What if I don't want your help?" "Then your brother gets hurt." The bluntness hit her hard. Lina's hands clenched into fists. "That's not fair." "No, it's not." Daniel appeared beside them, carrying a glass of water. He offered it to Jihoon with both hands. Jihoon accepted it gravely. "Thank you." Daniel smiled, the first real smile Lina had seen in months. "He likes you," she said. "Children sense things adults miss." "What do they sense about you?" Jihoon looked at Daniel, who had settled on the couch nearby. "Safety." "Is that what you are? Safe?" "For him, yes." "And for me?" Something shifted in Jihoon's expression. "I don't know." The honest answer unsettled her more than a lie would have. Yuri finished his security check and approached them. 3 guards outside, 2 more across the street. No one gets close without us knowing. "Thank you," Lina said. Yuri nodded and left. The apartment felt smaller with just the 3 of them. "I should let you rest," Jihoon said. "Where will you be?" "Close." He moved toward the door, but Daniel's voice stopped him. "Stay." The single word hung in the air. Daniel so rarely spoke that every word carried weight. Jihoon turned back. "You want me to stay?" Daniel nodded and patted the couch cushion beside him. Lina watched Jihoon's face soften. He sat down carefully, maintaining space between them. "Are you tired?" he asked Daniel in Korean. Daniel shook his head. He pointed at Jihoon's suit jacket. "You want to see something?" Daniel nodded. Jihoon reached into his inner pocket and pulled out a small photo. He handed it to Daniel carefully. Lina moved closer to see. The photo showed a little girl with pigtails and a bright smile. Maybe 5 years old. "My daughter," Jihoon said quietly. "Seo Yun." Daniel studied the photo with serious eyes. Then he looked up at Jihoon with something like understanding. "She's beautiful," Lina said. "She was." The past tense made Lina's chest tight. What happened to her? Jihoon's jaw worked for several seconds. "Car accident 2 years ago." "I'm sorry." She would have liked Daniel. Daniel handed the photo back carefully. Then he reached out and touched Jihoon's hand. The gesture was small but profound. Lina felt her throat close up. "He understands loss," she said. "Yes." They sat in silence for several minutes. Daniel leaned against Jihoon's side gradually, testing the waters. Jihoon didn't move away. His arm came up slowly to circle the boy's shoulders. Lina watched her brother relax for the first time since their parents' death. The sight made her chest ache. "I should put him to bed," she said finally. "Of course." But when she reached for Daniel, he shook his head and burrowed deeper against Jihoon's side. "He wants to stay with you," Lina said. Is that okay? She nodded. He hasn't felt safe with anyone in 2 years. What about with you? I'm his sister. He protects me as much as I protect him. Something shifted in Jihoon's expression. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. You're both carrying too much, he said. We're managing. You shouldn't have to. The words hit deeper than Lina expected. When was the last time someone had said she didn't have to carry everything alone? That's how life works, she said. Not anymore. The quiet promise in his voice made her pulse quicken. Daniel had fallen asleep against Jihoon's side. His small body was completely relaxed, trusting. I should move him, Lina whispered. He's fine here. Jihoon adjusted his position carefully so Daniel could rest more comfortably. The care in the gesture made Lina's breath catch. You're good with children. Pain flickered across Jihoon's features. I used to be. You still are. He looked at her with those dark eyes. How can you be sure? Because Daniel knows. They sat quietly as Daniel slept between them. Lina studied Jihoon's face in the dim lamplight. The sharp angles seemed softer now. Can I ask you something? She said. Yes. What do you really do? Jihoon's expression went carefully blank. You don't want to know. Maybe I do. No, you don't. The firmness in his voice told her not to push, but curiosity burned in her chest. Are you going to hurt people? She asked. Only if they try to hurt you. The answer should have frightened her. Instead, she felt an unexpected sense of safety. I don't understand any of this, she said. You don't need to understand. You just need to let me handle it. I don't like feeling helpless. You're not helpless. You're protected. Those aren't the same thing. Jihoon's gaze met hers. No, they're not. Daniel stirred in his sleep. He murmured something in Korean that Lina couldn't catch. What did he say? She asked. He said Appa. Daddy. Lina's chest tightened. He dreams about our father sometimes. Do you dream about your parents? The question caught her off guard. Sometimes, usually nightmares. What happened to them? Car accident. Same as your... She stopped. Same as my family. They looked at each other across Daniel's sleeping form. Shared grief hung between them. I'm sorry, Lina said. Me too. The understanding that passed between them felt dangerous, like standing too close to a fire. I should let you both sleep, Jihoon said. He started to move, but Daniel's hand fisted in his shirt. He doesn't want you to go, Lina observed. I can stay a little longer. You don't have to. I want to. The admission surprised them both. Jihoon's voice was quiet but certain. Okay, Lina said. She curled up in the chair across from the couch. Sleep felt impossible with so many questions burning in her mind. But gradually, the sound of Daniel's steady breathing and the warmth of Jihoon's presence lulled her toward rest. When she woke several hours later, dawn light filtered through the curtains. Daniel still slept against Jihoon's side, but Jihoon's eyes were open, watching the windows. Did you sleep? Lina asked. No. Why not? I don't sleep much anymore. Since the accident? Since I failed to protect them. The raw pain in his voice made Lina's chest ache. She wanted to tell him it wasn't his fault, but she knew the words would ring hollow. Guilt didn't listen to logic. Daniel feels safe with you, she said instead. He shouldn't. Why not? Because everyone I care about gets hurt. The words hung heavy between them. Lina felt the weight of his fear. Not everyone, she said. You don't know me. I know you gave me money when I needed it. I know you stopped a drunk man from hurting me. I know you're protecting my brother. Jihoon's jaw tightened. That's not enough. It is for now. Their eyes met across the small space. Something passed between them, something fragile and dangerous. A soft knock interrupted the moment. Yuri entered quietly. "Sir, we need to move them." "What happened?" Jihoon's voice went sharp. "Someone followed the delivery truck this morning. They know about this location." Lina felt fear spike through her. "How is that possible?" "It doesn't matter," Jihoon said. He gently shook Daniel awake. "We need to go." Daniel's eyes opened slowly. When he saw Jihoon, he smiled sleepily. "We're going somewhere else," Jihoon told him in Korean. Daniel nodded and sat up. No fear, just trust. Lina marveled at her brother's acceptance. He had spent 2 years suspicious of everyone, but somehow Jihoon had earned his faith overnight. "Where are we going?" she asked. "My home," Jihoon said. The words sent a shiver through her. His home would be different from this safe but neutral space. His home would pull her deeper into his world. "Is that wise?" "It's the safest place I know." Yuri helped them gather their few belongings. Within 15 minutes, they were back in the black car. As they drove through the city, Lina watched the neighborhoods change. Modest apartments gave way to expensive townhouses, then to gated communities with manicured lawns. Finally, they turned through tall iron gates. The driveway stretched ahead of them, lined with mature trees. The house that came into view made Lina's breath catch. 3 stories of pale stone and tall windows. More mansion than home. "You live here?" she asked. "Yes." "Alone?" Something flickered across his features. "Now I do." They stopped at the front entrance. Yuri opened Lina's door while another man helped with their bags. Daniel stepped out of the car and stared up at the massive house. His eyes were wide with wonder. "It's big," Lina said. "Too big," Jihoon replied. An older woman appeared in the doorway. Silver hair pulled back, kind eyes. She wore a simple dress and apron. "Mrs. Song," Jihoon said in Korean. "These are our guests." Mrs. Song bowed slightly. "Welcome," she said in accented English. "Thank you," Lina replied in Korean. Mrs. Song's face brightened. "You speak Korean." "A little." "Good. Come, you must be tired." They followed her into the house. The foyer soared overhead with a crystal chandelier. Marble floors gleamed under their feet. Daniel stayed close to Lina's side, overwhelmed by the grandeur. "Your rooms are ready," Mrs. Song said, leading them upstairs. She showed them to a suite with 2 bedrooms connected by a sitting area. Everything was elegant but comfortable. "Mr. Park thought you would want to stay together," Mrs. Song explained. "Thank you," Lina said. "It's perfect." Mrs. Song smiled and left them alone. Lina sank onto the couch in their sitting room. The contrast to their cramped apartment was staggering. Here Daniel could run and play without bumping into walls. "Do you like it?" she asked him. Daniel nodded and walked to the tall windows. The view showed gardens and trees stretching to the horizon. Jihoon appeared in the doorway. "Is everything acceptable?" "It's beautiful. Mrs. Song will take care of anything you need." "How long will we stay here?" "Until it's safe." "And when will that be?" Jihoon's expression went dark. "Soon." The single word carried threat and promise in equal measure. "What are you going to do?" "End this." The coldness in his voice made Lina shiver. She was seeing another side of him now, the dangerous side that everyone else feared. But when Daniel ran over and took his hand, Jihoon's expression softened instantly. "Are you hungry?" he asked Daniel in Korean. Daniel nodded. "Mrs. Song makes excellent pancakes." Daniel's eyes lit up. He tugged Jihoon toward the door. Lina followed them downstairs to a kitchen that was bigger than her entire apartment. Mrs. Song bustled around making breakfast while Daniel watched in fascination. He doesn't talk much, Lina explained to Jihoon. Some children express themselves differently. He used to talk constantly before. Trauma affects everyone differently. There was understanding in his voice, the voice of someone who knew about trauma. Mrs. Song placed a plate of pancakes in front of Daniel. His eyes went wide at the size and number. Too much? Mrs. Song asked in Korean. Daniel shook his head vigorously and picked up his fork. Lina watched him eat with more enthusiasm than she'd seen in months. The simple joy on his face made her chest tight. "Thank you," she told Mrs. Song. "He's a good boy." "Yes, he is." Jihoon sat beside Daniel and cut his pancakes into smaller pieces. The gesture was natural, practiced. "You're good at this," Lina observed. Pain flickered across his features. "I had practice." She wanted to ask about his daughter, about what their life had been before. But the grief in his eyes stopped her. Instead, she watched him help Daniel with breakfast. Watched her brother respond to kindness from this dangerous stranger. After they ate, Jihoon showed them the house. Room after room of elegant furniture and expensive art. But something felt hollow about the space. "It's very quiet," Lina said. "Yes." "Do you like the quiet? I used to hate it. And now? Now I'm used to it." They reached a large room with floor-to-ceiling windows. Daniel ran to look outside at the gardens. "He seems happier already," Jihoon said. "Space helps. Our apartment is very small. You're both welcome to stay as long as you need. We can't impose forever." "It's not an imposition." The sincerity in his voice surprised her. "Why are you being so kind to us?" Jihoon watched Daniel press his face against the window. "Because he reminds me of someone I loved." "Your daughter?" "Yes." "And what do I remind you of?" Jihoon's gaze shifted to her. "Someone I could love." The words hit her hard. Lina felt her breath catch. "You don't know me well enough for that?" "No, but I'd like to." The admission hung between them, dangerous and tempting. "This is complicated," Lina said. "Yes." "I don't understand your world." "You don't need to understand it. You just need to let me keep you safe." "And then what?" "Then you decide if you want to stay." The possibility made her pulse quicken. Stay in this beautiful house. Let someone else carry the burden of protection. Let Daniel have space to heal. But staying meant accepting a life she didn't understand. Staying meant trusting a man everyone else feared. "I need time to think," she said. "Take all the time you need." Daniel's excited voice interrupted them. "Lina, come look." She walked to the window. In the garden below, a fountain sparkled in the sunlight. Birds splashed in the shallow water. "It's beautiful," she said. Daniel pressed his face against the glass and pointed at the birds. His mouth moved silently, forming words he couldn't quite speak. "Do you want to go outside?" Jihoon asked him. Daniel nodded eagerly. They spent the afternoon in the garden. Daniel explored every path and corner while Lina sat on a stone bench. Jihoon stayed nearby, watching the perimeter with careful eyes. "You don't relax much, do you?" Lina said. "Relaxation is a luxury I can't afford." "When did you last feel truly safe?" The question seemed to surprise him. "I don't remember." "That's no way to live." "It's the only way I know." Daniel ran up to them carrying a smooth stone from the fountain. He offered it to Jihoon with both hands. "For me?" Jihoon asked. Daniel nodded and pressed the stone into Jihoon's palm. "Thank you. I'll keep it safe." Daniel beamed and ran off to explore more. "He's never given anyone a gift before," Lina said. "Not since our parents died." Jihoon stared at the simple stone in his hand. "He's healing. Maybe we all are." Their eyes met across the garden bench. Something fragile and hopeful passed between them. But even as Lina felt herself softening toward this dangerous man, she knew their peace couldn't last. Somewhere in the city, people were hunting them. And soon, Jihoon would have to remind everyone why they called him Ghost. 3 days passed in the mansion like a dream suspended outside of time. Daniel's laughter echoed through rooms that had been silent for too long. He spoke more each day, small words in Korean that made Jihoon's eyes soften. Lina found herself watching Jihoon carefully, the way he moved through his house like a ghost haunting his own life, the way he sat apart during meals, even when Daniel pulled him closer. "You don't eat much," she said on the 4th morning. "I eat enough. Mrs. Song is worried about you. Mrs. Song worries about everyone." They sat in the breakfast room while Daniel fed pieces of toast to the birds outside the window. Sunlight streamed across the table between them. "When did you last leave this house?" Lina asked. "I leave when necessary." "That's not what I meant." Jihoon's jaw tightened. "I know what you meant. You're hiding, too." "I'm not hiding. I'm protecting." "From in here?" "Yes." Lina studied his face. "That's not living. Living is overrated." The bitterness in his voice cut through her. "Your daughter wouldn't want this for you." Something dangerous flashed in Jihoon's eyes. "Don't." "She'd want you to be happy." "You know nothing about what she'd want." The coldness in his voice should have warned her off, but Lina felt compelled to push. "I know she'd want you to stop blaming yourself." Jihoon stood abruptly. "This conversation is over." "Is it? Because you've been having it with yourself for 2 years." "Lina." Her name was a warning. "What happened wasn't your fault. You don't know what happened." "Then tell me." Jihoon's hands clenched into fists. For a moment, Lina glimpsed the man everyone feared. "They died because I wasn't there to protect them," he said quietly. "Where were you?" "Working, always working." The pain in his voice made her chest ache. "That doesn't make it your fault, doesn't it?" "No." "I was supposed to pick them up that night. Instead, I sent a driver because a meeting ran late." Lina felt the pieces fall into place. "The driver crashed." "He was drunk. I found out later he'd been drinking for months." "You couldn't have known." "I should have known. I should have been there." Jihoon's voice broke on the last words. The sound shattered something in Lina's chest. "You loved them," she said. "Love isn't enough." "It's everything." "No, protection is everything. And I failed." Daniel's voice interrupted them. "Hyung?" They both turned. Daniel stood in the doorway, eyes wide with concern. Jihoon immediately composed himself. "What is it?" Daniel approached slowly and touched Jihoon's hand. He said something in Korean too quiet for Lina to catch. "What did he say?" she asked. "He said not to be sad." Jihoon knelt to Daniel's level. "I'm not sad when you're here." Daniel smiled and hugged Jihoon's neck. The gesture was spontaneous and trusting. Lina watched Jihoon's face transform. The hardness melted away, replaced by something achingly tender. "You're good for him," she said. "He's good for me, too." When Daniel ran back outside, the moment between them felt different, softer. "I'm sorry," Lina said. "I pushed too hard." "You care. I'm not used to that. People don't care about you. People fear me. It's not the same thing." "I don't fear you." "You should." "Why? Because you're dangerous?" "Because I destroy everything I touch." The raw honesty in his voice made her breath catch. "You didn't destroy Daniel. Give it time." "You're wrong." "Am I?" Before she could answer, Yuri appeared in the doorway. His expression was grim. "Sir, we have a problem." Jihoon's entire demeanor shifted. What kind of problem? Victor's men were seen near the diner. They're asking about Miss Choi. Lina felt ice shoot through her veins. What does that mean? It means they're not giving up, Jihoon said. Who is Victor? Jihoon and Yuri exchanged a look. Someone who wants to hurt me, Jihoon said finally, by hurting us. Yes. The simplicity of it terrified her. She was a pawn in a game she didn't understand. What do we do? She asked. We end this, Jihoon said. The coldness in his voice made her shiver. She was seeing the other side of him again, the side that made grown men afraid. How? You don't need to know. I think I do. Jihoon's gaze met hers. No, you don't. Daniel appeared at the window, waving at them through the glass. He looked happy and safe in the garden. He can't know about this, Lina said. He won't. Promise me. I promise. The certainty in his voice reassured her. Whatever else Jihoon was, he protected children. How long will you be gone? She asked. I'm not leaving. But you said... I said we'd end this. Not that I'd leave you unprotected. Then how? Victor will come here. The words sent fear crawling up her spine. To the house? Eventually. When? Soon. Jihoon's calm certainty was more frightening than panic would have been. He spoke like a man who had planned for this moment. What if something happens to you? She asked. It won't. But what if it does? Then Yuri will take you and Daniel somewhere safe. That's not what I meant. Jihoon studied her face. What did you mean? I meant what happens to us if we lose you. The question surprised them both. Lina hadn't meant to reveal so much. You'll be fine, Jihoon said quietly. Will we? Yes. But uncertainty flickered in his eyes. He was starting to care too much to be confident about letting go. I don't want anything to happen to you, Lina said. Because of Daniel? Because of me. The admission hung between them, dangerous and honest. Lina, I know this is complicated. I know your world is different from mine, but I care about you. Something shifted in Jihoon's expression. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. I'm not a good man. You're good to us. That's not enough. It is for me. They stared at each other across the breakfast table. The moment felt suspended, fragile. If I asked you to stay, Jihoon said quietly, after all this is over, would you? I don't know. That's honest. I'd want to know what staying meant. It would mean safety for both of you. And whatever else you wanted it to mean. The careful words held worlds of possibility. Lina felt her pulse quicken. That's a big decision. Yes. Can I think about it? You can have all the time you need. Daniel burst through the garden door, chattering excitedly in Korean. He ran to Jihoon and pulled on his sleeve. What is it? Jihoon asked. Daniel pointed outside and spoke rapidly. His words tumbled over each other in his excitement. Slow down, Jihoon said gently. Daniel took a breath and spoke more carefully. Jihoon's face lit up with genuine pleasure. He says the fountain has fish in it, Jihoon told Lina, little gold ones. Can we go see? Lina asked. They spent the afternoon by the fountain watching the goldfish swim in lazy circles. Daniel lay on his stomach on the stone edge, trailing his fingers in the water. He's healing, Lina observed. Children are resilient. So are adults sometimes. Jihoon glanced at her. Some adults. You could be. I'm too broken. Everyone's broken. The question is whether you let it define you. Wise words. My mother used to say that. She sounds like a good woman. She was. She would have liked you. Even knowing what I am, she believed people could change. And you? I'm starting to. Daniel sat up suddenly and pointed at the house. "Car," he said in English. They turned to see a black SUV approaching through the gates. Jihoon immediately moved between them and the vehicle. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. Yuri got out of the SUV alone. He walked over with measured steps. "All clear, sir. Just the evening patrol change." Jihoon relaxed fractionally. "Thank you." But Lina had seen the tension in his shoulders, the way his hand had moved instinctively inside his jacket. "You're armed," she realized. "Yes." "Always?" "Always." The knowledge should have frightened her. Instead, she felt oddly reassured. This man would protect Daniel with his life. "I've never been around violence," she said. "And you won't be. I'll make sure of that." "What if I don't have a choice?" "You'll always have a choice with me." They walked back toward the house as the sun began to set. Daniel ran ahead, chasing fireflies in the gathering dusk. "He's happy here," Lina said. "He deserves to be happy." "So do you." Jihoon's step faltered slightly. "I'm not sure I remember how." "Maybe we could learn together." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Jihoon turned to look at her. "Together?" "If we stay, if this works out." "You'd want that." "I think I might." Something vulnerable flickered across his features. Hope, maybe, or fear. "I don't know how to be anything other than what I am," he said. "I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to heal." "What if I can't?" "What if you can?" They reached the house as the first stars appeared overhead. Daniel ran up the front steps, calling for Mrs. Song to tell her about the fish. "He's not afraid of me," Jihoon said quietly. "Should he be?" "Everyone else is." "We're not everyone else." "No, you're not." They stood on the front steps in the evening air. The moment felt important, like a choice being made. "Whatever happens," Lina said, "thank you for protecting us." "Whatever happens," Jihoon replied, "thank you for seeing me." The words hung between them as they went inside. Mrs. Song bustled around preparing dinner while Daniel told her about the goldfish in excited Korean. Watching them, Lina felt something dangerous blooming in her chest. This felt like family. This felt like home. But she knew their peace couldn't last. Somewhere in the city, Victor was planning, and soon their sanctuary would become a battlefield. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, she felt a strange calm settle over her. Whatever came next, they would face it together. And maybe, if they were lucky, they would all survive it. But first, Victor had to find them, and Jihoon would be waiting when he did. The attack came at dawn on their 8th day in the mansion. Lina woke to the sound of breaking glass. She sat up in bed, heart hammering. The house alarm shrieked through the halls. "Daniel!" she called. He appeared in her doorway, eyes wide with fear. She grabbed his hand and pulled him close. "Stay with me." Footsteps pounded in the hallway outside. Yuri's voice shouted orders in Korean. The door to their suite burst open. Jihoon stood there, fully dressed and armed. "We have to move," he said. "Now." "What's happening?" "They found us." Lina felt terror spike through her. "How many?" "Too many." Gunshots echoed from somewhere in the house. Daniel pressed closer to her side. "The safe room," Jihoon said. "3rd floor." They ran through corridors Lina barely recognized in her panic. Everything looked different in the dim emergency lighting. More gunshots, closer this time. "Faster," Jihoon urged. They reached a heavy door at the end of the hall. Jihoon pressed his palm to a scanner and the lock disengaged. Inside. The safe room was small but well equipped. Monitors showed camera feeds from around the property. Lina counted at least a dozen armed men moving through the gardens. They came prepared, she whispered. So did I. Jihoon activated additional security systems. Steel shutters slammed down over the windows throughout the house. Will this hold them? Lina asked. Long enough? For what? For backup to arrive. How long? 10 minutes, maybe 15. Daniel tugged on Lina's sleeve and pointed at the monitors. Bad men? Yes, baby, bad men. Jihoon, stop them? The simple faith in Daniel's voice made Lina's chest tight. Yes, Jihoon will stop them. Jihoon knelt beside Daniel. I need you to be very brave, okay? Stay here with your sister and Mrs. Song. Mrs. Song had appeared in the doorway, clutching a first aid kit. Sir, they've breached the first floor, she said. Lock this door behind me. Don't open it for anyone else. Where are you going? Lina demanded. To end this. You can't go out there alone. I won't be alone. Yuri and the others are still fighting. What if something happens to you? Jihoon's eyes met hers. Then you take Daniel and run. I won't leave you. Yes, you will. For him. She wanted to argue, but Daniel's small hand in hers reminded her of her priorities. Come back to us, she whispered. I will. Jihoon started to leave, but Daniel's voice stopped him. Hyung. Jihoon turned back. Daniel held out the smooth stone from the fountain. For luck? Daniel asked in Korean. Jihoon took the stone gently. Thank you. Then he was gone. The heavy door sealed behind him with a final click. Lina watched the monitors as Jihoon moved through the house. He looked different now, predatory, dangerous. He knows what he's doing, Mrs. Song said quietly. Does he? Mr. Park survived worse than this before you came. What do you mean? He had nothing to live for then. Now he has something to fight for. On the monitors, Lina watched Jihoon disappear into the shadows of the main floor. The camera feeds showed Victor's men spreading through the house. There are so many of them, she breathed. Numbers don't matter to him. A figure appeared on one of the screens. Tall, blonde, moving with casual confidence through the chaos. That's Victor, Mrs. Song said. Lina studied the man who had turned her life upside down. He looked ordinary, almost boring. He doesn't look dangerous. The most dangerous ones never do. Victor spoke into a radio. His men began moving more systematically through the house. He's looking for us, Lina realized. He won't find this room. What if he does? Mrs. Song showed her the pistol in her apron pocket. Then I protect you. Daniel pressed closer to Lina's side. He watched the screens with frightened eyes. It's okay, she whispered. We're safe here. But she didn't feel safe. She felt trapped. On the monitor, shadows moved through the halls. Occasionally, a figure would fall. Lina couldn't tell if it was friend or enemy. Then she saw Jihoon. He moved through the house without a sound. When Victor's men appeared, they simply disappeared again. Permanently. He's hunting them, she whispered. Yes. I've never seen anything like this. Pray you never see it again. But Lina found herself unable to look away. This was who Jihoon really was. This was what everyone feared. And somehow, watching him protect them, she felt safer than she ever had in her life. The minutes crawled by. The number of hostile figures on the monitors decreased steadily. Then Victor appeared in the main hallway, shouting orders. He looked frustrated, angry. He can't find us, Lina said, and he's running out of men. On another screen, police cars appeared at the front gates. Then more cars, black SUVs that could only be Jihoon's reinforcements. Help is here, Mrs. Song said. But Victor wasn't giving up. He pulled out a device and spoke into it rapidly. What is he doing? I don't know. Suddenly, every monitor went black. What happened? He cut the power. They sat in darkness for several heartbeats. Then emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in red. Can we still see outside? Mrs. Song checked the backup systems. Some cameras are still working. The feeds showed chaos in the gardens. Police and Victor's remaining men were engaged in a firefight, but Victor himself had vanished from the screens. Where did he go? I don't know. A soft sound came from the corridor outside their room. Footsteps. Lina felt her blood turn to ice. Someone's coming. Mrs. Song drew her weapon and moved toward the door. Stay back. The footsteps stopped right outside. Silence stretched for endless seconds. Then came a soft knock. It's me, Jihoon's voice said. Relief flooded through Lina. Mrs. Song unlocked the door and pulled it open. Jihoon stood in the hallway. His clothes were torn and bloody, but he was alive. Is it over? Lina asked. Not yet. Victor escaped. What does that mean? It means we have to leave. Now. Where will we go? Somewhere safer. They gathered quickly. Jihoon led them through back corridors to a hidden garage. 3 cars waited with engines running. Yuri stood by the lead vehicle with several other men. Everyone accounted for? Jihoon asked. All hostiles neutralized except the primary target, Yuri reported. Casualties? 2 wounded, no deaths. Jihoon nodded grimly. Good work. They got into the middle car. Jihoon sat up front while Lina and Daniel huddled in the back with Mrs. Song. As they drove away from the mansion, Lina looked back at the only home Daniel had known peace in. Will we ever come back? I don't know, Jihoon said. Where are we going? A place Victor will never find. The convoy drove through the pre-dawn darkness. Lina held Daniel close as he dozed against her shoulder. Are you hurt? She asked Jihoon quietly. Nothing serious. You're bleeding. I'm fine. But she could see the exhaustion in his shoulders. The weight of protecting them was wearing him down. Thank you, she said. For what? For keeping us safe. I almost failed, but you didn't. This time. There won't be a next time, will there? Jihoon's jaw tightened. Not if I can help it. They drove for 2 hours before reaching their destination, a cabin in the mountains surrounded by tall trees. How long will we stay here? Lina asked as they unloaded. Until Victor is no longer a threat. How will you do that? By making him understand the cost of threatening you. The coldness in his voice made her shiver, but she didn't argue. Victor had brought this war to their door. Inside the cabin, Mrs. Song fussed over their cuts and bruises while Daniel explored the rustic rooms. He seems okay, Lina observed. Children adapt, Jihoon said. Do adults? Some do. They sat by the fireplace while Mrs. Song prepared food in the kitchen. Daniel had curled up on the couch between them, finally asleep. I was terrified, Lina admitted. You didn't show it. I couldn't, not with Daniel watching. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't about feeling, it's about acting despite the fear. Is that how you do it? Act despite the fear? Jihoon looked at her with those dark eyes. I haven't been afraid in a long time. Not even tonight? Tonight was different. How? Tonight I had something to lose. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. What happens now? Lina asked. Now we wait. For what? For Victor to make his next move. And then? Then I make mine. Daniel stirred in his sleep and murmured something. He reached out blindly and found Jihoon's hand. He trusts you completely, Lina said. He shouldn't. Why not? You saved us. This time. You'll save us next time, too. You can't be sure of that. Yes, I can. How? Because you love him. Something shifted in Jihoon's expression. Surprise, recognition, fear. I barely know him. Love doesn't follow timelines. No, it doesn't. They sat in silence, watching Daniel sleep. The fire crackled softly in the grate. Can I ask you something? Lina said. Yes. Do you think you could love me too? The question surprised them both. Lina hadn't planned to ask it. I think I already do, Jihoon said quietly. Her breath caught. Really? Yes. Even though this is complicated? Because it's complicated. I don't understand. Simple things break easily. Complicated things last. Is that what you want? For this to last? More than anything. The admission hung in the air between them, fragile and precious. I want that too, Lina whispered. Are you sure? As sure as I can be. My world is dangerous. I know. You could get hurt. I could get hurt crossing the street. It's not the same. No, but the alternative is worse. What alternative? Living without love. Something cracked in Jihoon's expression, the walls he'd built around his heart crumbling. I don't know how to love safely, he said. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. And if we can't, then we'll fail together. That's not very reassuring. It's honest. Daniel's eyes fluttered open. He looked up at them sleepily. Home? He asked in Korean. Lina looked at Jihoon. Jihoon looked back at her. Yes, Jihoon said gently. Home. Daniel smiled and closed his eyes again. He burrowed deeper between them, safe and loved. Is it true? Lina asked. Is this home? It could be. I'd like that. Even knowing what it means? Especially knowing what it means. Jihoon reached across Daniel's sleeping form and took her hand. His fingers were warm and strong. I love you, he said quietly. I love you too. Outside the cabin, snow began to fall. Inside, 3 broken people held each other close and began to heal. Victor was still out there. Still dangerous, but tonight they were safe. Tonight they were family. And tomorrow they would face whatever came next together. Epilogue 6 months later, spring sunlight streamed through the windows of their new home. Not the mansion that belonged to the past. This house was smaller, warmer, a place where laughter echoed freely. Daniel's voice carried from the kitchen where he helped Mrs. Song bake cookies. His words came easily now, a constant stream of chatter in Korean and English. Lina found Jihoon in his study, reading reports with morning coffee. He looked up when she entered and smiled. Good morning. Morning. She settled onto the arm of his chair. Any word about Victor? He's been quiet for 3 months. I think he finally understands. Understands what? That some things are more dangerous to threaten than others. Lina traced patterns on his shoulder. Like family? Like family. Daniel burst into the room carrying a plate of warm cookies. Nuna, Hyung, try these. He had started calling Jihoon Hyung after their first week in the cabin. Big brother, the word that meant family. They smell delicious, Lina said, accepting one. Mrs. Song taught me, Daniel said proudly. You're becoming quite the chef. Daniel beamed and ran back to the kitchen. His footsteps thundered up the stairs as he went to share cookies with Mrs. Song. He's so happy, Lina observed. We all are. Are we? Jihoon set down his coffee and pulled her properly into his lap. I am. Are you? Yes. No regrets? Only one. What? That it took us so long to find each other. Jihoon's arms tightened around her. We found each other when we needed to. Do you think your daughter would approve? I think she'd love you both. I wish I could have met her. You would have been wonderful together." They sat quietly in the morning sun. The house felt peaceful around them. "I have news," Lina said. "Good news?" "I think so. I got into the nursing program." Jihoon's face lit up. "That's wonderful." "It means evening classes for 2 years. We'll manage. And Daniel will need help with homework." "I'll handle it." "Are you sure?" "Lina." He cupped her face gently. "We're a family. We handle things together." The word family still made her heart skip. 6 months ago, it had been just her and Daniel against the world. Now they had this, love and safety, and a future worth building. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." Daniel's voice drifted from the kitchen as he sang to himself in Korean. Mrs. Song's gentle laughter joined the melody. "Listen," Jihoon said softly. "To what?" "To happiness." Lina listened to the sounds of their home, cooking and singing and ordinary joy. "It's beautiful." "Yes, it is." They sat together watching dust motes dance in the sunlight. Outside, birds called to each other in the garden. "Thank you," Lina said. "For what?" "For saving us. You saved me, too." "Did I?" "You gave me something to protect again, something to love." "We gave each other that." "Yes, we did." Daniel appeared in the doorway with Mrs. Song close behind. "Picnic?" he asked, hopefully. "In the garden?" "That sounds perfect," Jihoon said. They spent the afternoon under the apple trees, sharing sandwiches and watching Daniel chase butterflies. Mrs. Song dozed in the shade while Lina read aloud from a book of fairy tales. "Happy ending," Daniel said when she finished the story. "Yes, happy ending." "Like us?" Lina looked at Jihoon. He looked back at her. "Like us," she confirmed. As evening fell, they gathered in the living room. Daniel curled between Lina and Jihoon on the couch while Mrs. Song worked on her knitting nearby. "Another story?" Daniel asked. "One more," Lina agreed. But before she could begin, Jihoon spoke. "Once upon a time," he said, "there was a man who had forgotten how to love." Daniel settled more comfortably against his side. "What happened?" "He met a brave sister and her little brother, and they taught him to love again." "Did they live happily ever after?" "They're still working on it." "But they will?" Jihoon's eyes met Lina's over Daniel's head. "Yes, they will." Daniel smiled and closed his eyes. "I like that story." "Me too," Lina whispered. Outside, night settled over their peaceful home. Inside, 3 people who had found each other in the darkness held on tight. They had built something beautiful from the wreckage of their separate griefs. Love had grown where fear once lived, and tomorrow would bring new ordinary miracles, breakfast conversations and homework help and bedtime stories, all the precious details of a life worth protecting. Lina looked at Jihoon and smiled. He smiled back. They were finally home.